Right, as I have discussed on this program, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, it's also known as PEPFAR, was launched 2 decades ago and has been credited with saving more than 25 million lives. But the Biden administration, the most pro-abortion administration in our nation's history, and that is without hesitation, I can say that. They're using the billions of dollars designated to address HIV/AIDS to also promote abortion internationally. Right? They're still addressing AIDS, but they're giving it to organizations that promote abortion and even agitate for the changing of laws in many of these African countries that are very pro-life. Joining me now for an update on this, Congressman Chris Smith, who was the primary author of the original PEPFAR congressional bill, and has also led the reauthorization efforts. He serves on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. He's also the co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, and he is the chair of the House Pro-Life Caucus. Joining me now is Chris Smith. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Tony, thank you so very much for having me on. And thank you for your excellent work on all issues relating to family life, the unborn, including this fight we're in on PEPFAR.
Well, you know, I was here when it was first authorized. You led the effort on that, and it was, addressed AIDS. It helped these African countries, but it's been kind of twisted over the years, especially under the Biden administration. And this is why Congress reauthorizes these things, so that if they get off track, it can be addressed. And that's what you've been trying to do by attaching provisions that would simply say, if you're saying the money's not being used to advance abortion, then just put these guardrails on and we'll all be fine.
Yes, we're calling their bluff, in a sense. They keep saying PEPFAR does not promote abortion, while all of the literature and the experience we're hearing and the field reports is that they have integrated abortion on-demand promotion with HIV/AIDS work, just like the World Health Organization has done it, the UN AIDS Organization, and all of the UN agencies, and International Planned Parenthood Federation, which is based in London, the global group. They have said integrate the promotion of abortion simultaneously and working with HIV/AIDS. That's not what we signed up for. When we pushed the HIV/AIDS legislation, as you know, and George W. Bush it was one of his great initiatives back in 2003. Henry Hyde was the prime sponsor of the first one. I was the prime sponsor of the reauthorization some 5 years ago. We made it very clear this is all about making people healthier and preventing that very, very lethal disease called HIV/AIDS. That said, what does Biden do? He hijacks it all. We have some people within our party, particularly on the Senate side, and some people who used to be members of the U.S. Senate and others who are pro-life, who are saying just do a clean reauthorization for 3 or 5 years of this legislation. That would, a so-called clean, in other words, no language of significance like the Mexico City policy, means that we're just rubber stamping and just putting our imprimatur on it, or just saying very clearly, we endorse what President Biden has done. It's outrageous what Biden has done. He's doing it everywhere, as you know. He's doing it with the VA, the Veterans Affairs, making clinics provide abortions. What is that all about? I used to chair the Veterans Affairs Committee. Those clinics and those hospitals are all about life-saving, not life-taking, and now he's done it with this program as well.
So this historically has enjoyed broad bipartisan support, and it would if it stayed focused on its stated mission, and that is to deal with HIV/AIDS. So as you pointed out, this administration is no secret. Almost every aspect of foreign policy has been promoting what I call the unholy trinity, and that is abortion, LGBTQ, and climate. And so they're hijacking these funds, and still they're doing the mission, but it's going to these organizations that often agitate for changing of laws as it pertains to abortion. It funds these pro-abortion organizations in countries like Africa. You've met with many of these foreign leaders. They don't like this cultural imperialism that the U.S. is pushing on them.
It's even worse than not liking. They hate it. They do not want abortion on demand in their country. They do not want the entirety of the LGBTQ agenda, which is being foisted upon them by what? The large, very effective, and I say that with regret, large non-governmental organizations that take the taxpayer funds and its grant money, and they promote these anti-life, pro-abortion policies. And, it's across the board. IPPF, Planned Parenthood.
I think
they have a strategy that takes us to 2020. Great HIV/AIDS work with abortion.
Chris, very quickly, give us where this stands right now and what our listeners and viewers can do.
WHO is pushing model legislation. Sure. Well, Mario Diaz-Balart, the chairman of the Foreign Ops Appropriations Committee, wrote an excellent bill that continues PEPFAR for 1 year, 2024, but it has the Mexico City policy, which was originally crafted by Ronald Reagan, because we found that the existing Helms Amendment, which is still in existence, was not strong enough. Contact your House member, contact your senators. Senator Lindsey Graham, for example, is now pushing a clean reauthorization of PEPFAR. You know what that means? We endorse everything Biden has done. No, we want to fight this year, and a multi-year, 3 to 5 year authorization will take us into the next administration, which God willing will be a Republican administration. And then when that president goes to put the Mexico City policy, as Trump did, on these programs, any existing contract would be exempt. Right. So if there's a multi-year authorization for all of this, for PEPFAR, we will not be able to reopen those contracts. And if I were Biden, as I'm going out the door, I would just make sure that every one of these contracts are multi-year, right, and we will have a pure victory. It can't be touched.
Congressman Chris Smith, always great to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're going to ask our listeners and viewers to lean in on this.
Tony, thank you. We need, and you've been so effective in promoting and raising the profile of this issue, and I can't be thankful enough.
I appreciate it.